Hey, I'm Kenneth Wajda. I'm a professional photographer here in Colorado. Welcome to another one of my weekly photo chats about gear that I actually use, real world experiences. So this is the Fuji X100T. It's not the latest V, it's the third in the series. And I think this is a good place to get into the Fuji X100 if you don't want to buy new. I like the original one, which you've heard me talk about in the past. This one I kind of consider my, elite X100 because it's a V, it's got the little shutter button, it's got the thumbs up, it's got the half case. This is like what I take when I want to go and make street photographs in Denver, or if I'm traveling and I want to do street. And I want a camera that's fast with a 35 f2. It has a aperture priority mode or a program mode if you put the lens on auto. But if you just choose your aperture yourself, you could put it on A for aperture priority. And then I always keep my camera set at -2/3 so that it's always underexposing a little bit, because with digital you don't want to blow out highlights. You can always bring up shadow detail, but you don't want to lose your highlights. So I always shoot with everything a little bit underexposed. It's the exact opposite for film. Film, you want to always have a dense negative that's thick enough to work with and not something that's missing all the information on the negative. In film, you definitely want overexposure. In digital, you definitely want underexposure. And the X100T, I think they kept increasing the autofocus quality throughout the X100 series. I still don't know that I think it's perfect all the time. The original one was not perfect. This one isn't perfect. I don't know if they've made it perfect on the V, but I think overall it's pretty quick and pretty good. There's a simple square in the center of the viewfinder, and I love the fact that this has a hybrid viewfinder. It has a viewfinder that you're either looking through the window, but then they project some information onto it, like almost like AI, or you can turn on with a flick of the switch an electronic viewfinder. But with the optical viewfinder, I like that there's a square in the center, and if you're shooting something at infinity, that square won't budge out of its position. But if you're shooting something that is close up, like if I'm photographing this tripod right here, the square will actually move because it's trying to show you parallax error and where the center of your frame is. And so that green square will move and your frame will slightly move, and it'll show you parallax. Well, that tells you it's focused on something close. So if you're photographing a friend and the square doesn't move, you know it missed focus, and you can quickly refocus it. But I find it to be a great street camera. This is the one that I use a lot for street when I'm shooting digital. If I'm not using the Leica M9, if I'm not using the Nikon D610. Those are the three digital cameras that are in my street arsenal. And this is the only one of them that is absolutely silent. So if I'm going anywhere where I need to be completely incognito and can shoot without anybody ever hearing the camera, this is the only one that can do it. So I really like this, the X100T. I'd recommend it. I'd recommend the X100V. I'm sure that's a beautiful camera. I just haven't had one come into my circles at a great bargain price. But the X100T did long time ago. I've had this for about 3 or 4 years, I think. And I like it. I think it's a solid built camera. What Fuji is doing with this series is, I think, one of the best things in digital photography. All right, that's today's photography talk. I welcome your comments. If you have any thoughts on those, on using the X100. All right. Thank you so much. If you are not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. If you can support, hit the Patreon. Thanks so much to all my supporters. And I'll be back next week. We'll talk more gear. As always, here's the good light.